Good evening, guys, and welcome back to the classroom with Architect Mark. Now that we have been introduced into OBS, let's try and visualize what we will do with a single computer setup so that we're able to fashion it out or fine-tune how we want our OBS to work and how we're gonna set up our environment so that it will be the solution to our idea of developing a streaming setup using a singular device. Okay, so we have our blue board on the ready. Let's go to the classroom, change to my pen, and then start our timer over here. So let's begin our single setup conceptualization. So basically what we're doing here is we're creating a diagram of the things that will be impacting our setup. So we have the computer. I actually have one here, but it's not yet prepared to display this particular setup, which we will conceptualize right here. So we have the computer, and of course, this will probably have an integrated webcam. So because we want to be using this and not any other attachment to it, we also would be benefiting from a sort of elevator or a mount for our computer. So if we're able to mount it up, so this would be our thing display here, like that. So you would want one. The idea is this should be in line with your eyes, eye height. So the pitch would be dependent on the riser, but you generally want that to be the state of the computer when we're using it. Now, we have a camera, so that's a good thing. And this camera also normally has integrated microphones. So that's also checked off. So we have our video feed, our audio feed. And then I suppose what we only really need to do is to set up we have a software, OBS. We want to be setting up OBS so that we could take full advantage of the screen here. Now, the screen generally will likely be Full HD. If it's of lower resolution, which mine actually will be, You have to be a little bit more creative with that. So, uh, Full HD or not, on Windows at least, Windows 10, you should be able to. So let's create a blow up here on this screen. Uh, so you should be able to still uh, stick any application to a specific quadrant. But because of the resolution, the problem with sticking it, like, for example, in this quadrant, let's call it 2, is that the icons will be a little bit bigger than what you expect. And uh, that will generally not be a very good look for you to be showing off to your students. You would want it to be a little clearer. And if you don't really need the icons, we should probably look into doing away with those. Otherwise, if you do need them, for example, like me, I teach an actual program, so they really need to see what happens over there. Then keeping it at that size would actually be advantageous because they can easily see what is on there. Now, if we try to do what I am doing with my setup, it's not gonna be super realistic for your uh, students because, again, of the limited size of this one. Because effectively, if it's full HD, this is just, what is this? 960. And then it's 540 up. So it's like you will be showing them content that is just this big. And the recording that OBS will be providing with you at the very least is going to be 720p. So there might be some sort of upscaling that OBS will do, and it will probably have an effect on your CPU usage. CPU usage goes up because of the upscaling, but I don't think it will be that big. Anyway, so we can still do something like this, or the better method would be instead of sticking it to just a portion, you can also use the entire screen. So in front will be your main program. So since we're thinking about not integrating another monitor into the mix, we will probably go with this style. The main program will be on the top level, and then the OBS program will be hidden beneath this program. Because it doesn't, you don't really need to be looking at OBS uh, if all of the controls have been properly mapped out and you basically made them into hotkeys, making OBS like a background assistant of some sort. So we don't want it to be because we're just using the full size, we don't really want program 1 to be consistently on top. So what we will be telling OBS is we're going to tell it to capture program. Is it what it's called? Window capture. Okay. So it will be window capture. OBS window capture. All right. So that means when it's a window capture, you can push it to the back and your viewers should not be able to see what you're doing still on the OBS or any other part of your screen. Like for example, if you have an Explorer open up and your browser open up also. So you have here the Explorer and browser. So you can interactively go to these without affecting what they will see. And that is good for your peace of mind. It's kind of similar to screen sharing, except you can integrate yourself into the view, just like what I'm doing right now. Just we need to have our main camera identified as an input source. You can place your image wherever in the space, and it won't affect our window capture. So at the most basic level, that is really all you need. The window that you want to display, it can be a PowerPoint presentation also, or a video for that matter. It doesn't, OBS doesn't discriminate. So for the most basic part, you really only need this input 1 plus, let's see, 4 will be the presentation software. All right. So you only really need to be showing in your final OBS program your face, because it's an integrated webcam. You'll probably find that you like to place it at the center also, so it can be up there or down here. You want it to be centered because the camera is actually pointed at you, and that way it will look more natural when your students are looking at it. it would seem as if you were still looking at them. So we have that. And then, of course, so this is 1. That's 1. And then this big one will be feed or source 4. Mic should always be on. And then that's pretty much it. If we can manage this, we should be able to do a contiguous, is that the proper term? A better flowing presentation, because you will be visible to the students and they will see how you react or explain your lesson to them while the lesson is being shown. Now you can enable sources twice so that you can switch between places. For example, if your text suddenly requires the top portion, you can just move your image down by pressing a few buttons in OBS or automating it with hotkeys. I suppose this is the simplest implementation of this, especially when you're not going to be adding accessories onto your unit. It will still be possible like this. So we'll probably try it and find out how much CPU, how much it taxes the CPU, or whichever one it is that you are using right now. So that's it for now. We will go back to OBS to show you how these things are accomplished, and I'll see you then. Take care and good night. It's just one more day until we cross into 2021. So I hope you had a great year. See you in 2021 already. Good night.